The Lord called Gideon a mighty man of valor. Judges 6 and 12, a description that seems unfit for a man hiding in a wide press. But Yahweh saw potential in Gideon. Yahweh saw beyond Gideon's present circumstance to his character and what he could become. Gideon questioned Yahweh. In spite of Israel's idolatry, Gideon had some knowledge of Yahweh and his delivering Israel from Egypt. He had heard the stories of Yahweh's miracles. Gideon asked where the miracles were now. He questioned why Israel was suffering. If Yahweh were with them, why would Yahweh abandon them? Gideon viewed Yahweh as Yahweh has forsaken Israel rather than the nation forsaking Yahweh and reaping the consequences. Gideon questioned his calling. Judges chapter 6, verses 14 and 16. The angel of the Lord did not chastise Gideon for his questions. Instead, the Lord said he was sending Gideon to rescue Israel from Midian. Gideon was to use the strength he had. That would be adequate to complete the task. But Gideon questioned himself with regard to Yahweh's assignment. He told the angel of the Lord that his family was the weakest in the tribe of Manasseh. Again, the angel of the Lord reassured Gideon without a rebuke, but he did not address Gideon's concern. Instead, he told Gideon that he would be with him. The Lord's presence and strength were all Gideon needed to fulfill his assignment. Gideon requested a sign. Judges 6, chapter 1, Judges 6, verses 17 and 18. Gideon wanted to see a miracle. He asked the angel of the Lord to prove that he really was from Yahweh and that Yahweh really was going to help Gideon deliver Israel. Gideon recognized that the angel of the Lord was Yahweh's messenger. The proper response was to bring him an offering. Gideon asked him to wait while he prepared the offering. Again, the Lord was gracious to Gideon and he agreed to wait. Gideon's story shows that Yahweh strengthens the weak. And I don't know where that scripture is as far as that he said he would take the weak things in the world to confound the strong things, roughly paraphrasing. His presence is sufficient to meet any challenge. Yahweh wants us to be willing to follow him no matter what the task. This is a personal account of somebody, so I'm going to read it. It's a female. She says, since my husband and I returned to America after serving as missionaries in closed countries, we have noticed a common emotion treaded throughout many of the churches we visit. It seems most American believers are afraid. And then that must have been the spirit, because at the end of the day, I can believe that. You have people that go to church, and because when like I said, Scripture says that, when the two or more gathered in my name, that's church, as far as these people going to worship in a building, but majority of people, like I said, they're not going to go do, those highways and byways, like they don't want to be ridiculed, they don't want to get possibly in an altercation, so I can believe what she's saying. That's the spirit. They believe America is sliding quickly downward toward a completely Christless society. Our freedoms are being taken. Our power and our rights are slipping from our grasp. The sins that were so shocking a generation ago are now considered normal, and parents are deeply frightened about what kind of society their children and grandchildren will grow up in. Salakia. What if it all does happen as we fear it might? What if our nation does indeed completely reject its Christian roots and choose a moral, godless future? And, at the end of the day, they talk about what if, but the scripture actually, that's a prophecy. It's going to get to a point where, I'm saying, like, this place is, you can literally see it. Look at the homosexuality is rampant. This place is promoting just greed. Look at it. Trump is up there talking about sending motherfuckers. Now, I did catch that, and the only reason I caught that because I was out and about, and just so happened it popped up on TV. He's literally, and I laugh at the women, right now, because he's literally talking about taking your food stamps and sending you a fucking food box like you in a joint. Like, that shit hilarious. And become a moral, godless future. Beyond that, what if we are to face persecution, which is all prophesied in the Bible? What if following Hamashiach becomes illegal? Does it seem ironic that Yahweh called Gideon a mighty man of valor, Judges 6 and 12, while Gideon was hiding out of fear? The beautiful truth that Yahweh sees what we what we can become with him, bold, courageous, victorious, rather than what we are without him, fearful, doubting, applies not just to Old Testament heroes, but to us today as well, which I agree. This is important regarding our calling to evangelize the world. For many believers, witnessing to others means risking personal safety and even their lives. We do not want to want that to happen to us like Gideon, we may find ourselves doing our daily work and hiding, ignoring the idolatry and need of the people in our lives, spending our time trying to protect ourselves, our jobs, and our sense of security. But Yahawah comes to us and calls us mighty men and women of valor. Yahawah may demand of us acts of great courage as he did of Gideon. He may ask us to tear down idols, Judges 6 and 25, speaking up against the evil in our nation, even if it means anger, rejection, or worse. He may ask us to achieve something great with very few resources. Chapter 7, witnessing to a co-worker even if we might lose our job, choosing a ministry where we will have to trust the Lord to provide, or leaving everything behind to serve the Lord ourselves. And brothers of GMS, the Akim, we already know that, you know what I'm saying? It said that, you know, like at the end of the day, you know, the Lord has given us a boldness like lions, you know what I mean? Roughly paraphrasing, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, those, you know, pork chop eating pastors and, you know, those wacky tacky Christians, you know what I mean? Like I said, they're not going to really do this. The Lord got to put a spirit on you to want to do this, and I completely agree with you. To even attempt to do this, you know what I mean? He could put the spirit on you to do it, and knowing you're going to fall out. That's why you got to pray in this thing daily, you know what I mean? Obeying Yahawah often means facing what we fear most. Would we rather be fruitful for Yahawah and face persecution, or would we rather create an environment that feels safe but is void of impact? And like I said, in this thing, you're supposed to gather fruit. So you got to leave an impact. You know what I mean? Like, you know, John was, you know, teaching in the wilderness, converting in the wilderness, but at the same time, he wasn't just doing it in the wilderness, because when you read the accounts of John, everybody knew who John was. So, you know what I mean? Like, he just wasn't in the wilderness. That feels safe, but it's void of impact. Would we want our children to grow up in a world of physical safety if it means they never truly know Yahawah? Often our choice is simple: obey Yahawah or avoid what we fear. Sharing the gospel involves risk. Following Hamashiach's footsteps means hatred, which you can read in Matthew 10 and 22, John 15 and 18, and the persecution. 2 Timothy 3 and 12. Knowing that, how can Yahawah say we should not fear? Because he is in control. His power is not diminished no matter how much evil surrounds us or how powerful it seems, which you can read in the book of Daniel 2 and 21. The gates of hell itself cannot prevail against Yahawah's plan for history. We need not fear. Yahawah is not afraid of what may happen in our government or our nation. World powers will come and go, but no matter how tightly the doors may close to religious freedom, doors can never keep out Yahawah Shah HaMashiach. With Christ, we can be mighty men and women of valor, for greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. That's 1 John 4 and 4. And that paragraph where it says, world powers will come and go, but no matter how tightly the doors may close to religious freedom, the doors can never keep out of Yahawah Shah HaMashiach. And it makes me think of the book of Daniel. Book of Daniel, I believe it's chapter 4. Because at the end of the day, Yahawah, by Hashem, Yahawah Shah is in control. It's the book of Daniel, chapter 4, verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and give it to whomever he will, and set up over it the bases of men. So, you know, like I said, it made me just think of that scripture. Continue. Gideon, like all his fellow Israelites, was dismayed by the powerful forces of those days. Israel was oppressed not so much by armies as by camel riding nomads. Men and women and children came into the land at harvest time, upsetting the fragile economy of the Holy Land, which you can read in Judges 6, chapter 6, verses 4 through 6. Israel was under the hand of the Midianites for 7 years. Who were these Midianites? Midian was the fourth son of Abraham by Keturah, which you can read in Genesis 25, verses 1 and 2. Abraham wisely planned to secure Isaac's future by sending Keturah's sons far off into Arabia.